Hi, fifth grade. Miss Vincent again, and today we're going to talk just a little bit about multiplying with decimals. And one of the first things I want to talk about is that probably you've learned that when you multiply whole numbers, so if I multiply something like 3 times 2, my answer gets bigger because I'm taking groups of that number. So that would be like 2 batches with 3 in each, and that definitely is going to give me a bigger number. It's going to give me 6. When I multiply with decimals, I've got to realize that my answer may not get larger. That if I'm doing something like 3 times 2/10, my answer is going to end up as an answer with a decimal in it. So just wanted you to kind of be okay with, it may look like your answer might actually be getting smaller, so don't let that part of this multiplication trouble you. When I multiply with decimals, most of my normal rules for multiplication are still the same. So the first thing I'm going to say is the number that has the most digits, it needs to go on top when I'm multiplying. The one with my smaller digits goes down below. So if I have a problem, something like 4 and 21/100ths, and I want to multiply it by 5, I'm going to put the 4.21 on top. So I'm still going to put the one with the most digits on top. I do not need to worry about lining up my decimals. That's only with addition and subtraction. So I put my number with less digits down below. Again, I don't have to worry about lining up decimals. Then I pretend like there's not even a decimal there. I do plain old normal multiplication. 5 times 1 gives me 5. 5 times 2 gives me 10, and I'm going to carry my 1. 5 times 4 gives me 20, plus the 1 gives me 21. Plain old normal multiplication. The only part that is different is I have to decide where am I going to put my decimal point in my answer. So I look at the numbers I multiplied, my 2 factors, and I look at how many digits are sitting behind the decimal in those numbers. In this first one, I've got 2 digits sitting behind the decimal. So I'm going to put me a little 2 over here to kind of help me keep up with that. And this one, I don't even have a decimal. If I had one, it would be at the end. So I don't have any digits sitting behind the decimal. So I have 2 plus 0. I have 2 digits sitting behind the decimal in my factors, in my numbers that I'm multiplying. So I go to my answer and I count off 2 spaces, 1, 2, and I put my decimal point there. I need 2 digits behind my decimal point. So again, normal multiplication, I put the one with the larger amount of digits on top, and then I count to see how many spaces I need behind the decimal point in my answer. Let's try another one. This problem, I have 3, plain old 3, times 0.8 times 8/10. Now I'm going to put the 0.8 on top. With this one, it would kind of be okay either way. And I'm going to do times 3. Remember, I don't have to line up my decimals. Then I do normal multiplication. 3 times 8 is 24. Carry my 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. I've done my multiplication. Then I've got to decide, where do I put my decimal point? Well, right here, I have 1 spot behind the decimal. And this number, I don't even have a decimal, so I have 0. So I need a total of 1 digit behind the decimal point in my answer. So I'm going to count over 1 space, and I'm going to put my decimal point right in the middle. My answer would be 2 4/10. Now we're going to practice some, and just like always, guys, this is the perfect time for you to pause the video after you see my problem, work it out and then compare your answers to mine. My next one is 2 3/10 times 5. I'm going to put the 2 3/10 on top, my 5 at the bottom. Remember, it doesn't matter. I don't need to line up my decimal points. Plain old normal multiplication. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 1 gives me 11. And now I have to decide, where do I put my decimal point? 1 digit behind the decimal there. No digits behind the decimal point in the 5. I need a total of 1 digit behind the decimal point in my answer. 1 spot's behind it. My answer would be 11 5/10. Let's try another one. This one, I'm going to do 3 6/10 times 4 2/10. Normal multiplication. I'm going to do my 2 times all those numbers on the top. So I do 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now remember, I'm moving over 1 spot because now I'm multiplying by the digit that's moved over 1 spot. So now I'm going to take my 4. I'm going to multiply it by all the numbers on top. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. I'm going to add them together. 2, 7 plus 4 gives me 11. 4 plus 1 gives me 5. And then I have a 1. Now I've got to figure out where I want my decimal point. I have 1 digit behind the decimal in that top factor, another digit behind the decimal in the second number. Well, 1 plus 1 gives me 2, so I need 2 digits behind the decimal in my answer. So I count over 1 space, 2 space. My answer goes right there, and my answer is 15 12/100. Let's try another one. I'm going to do 26 hundredths times 4. Again, plain old normal multiplication. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 gives me 10. Carry my 1. 4 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. Now I have to figure out where my decimal goes. I have 2 digits behind the decimal there. I don't have any digits behind the decimal there. So I need a total of 2 digits behind the decimal in my answer. I move over 1, 2 spots. My decimal goes right there, 1.04. Now, occasionally in our math books, they give us a problem, and it will be something like 12 times 4 8/10. And they've already done all the math work. They give me the digits in my answer. All they want me to do is find out where the decimal goes. So I kind of like that. They've really already done the math. So all they want me to do is figure out, where does the decimal go? Well, there's no digits behind the decimal there. Those are whole numbers. There's 1 digit behind the decimal there. I just need 1 digit behind the decimal. I'm just going to squeeze my decimal in between the 7 and the 6. Let's try another one. Again, I'm going to write it this way because your math book has some written across. So 5 2/10 times 6 4/10. And they tell me the answer has these digits in it. 3, 3, 2, 8. And all they want me to do is decide where the decimal needs to go. Well, I have 1 digit behind the decimal there, 1 digit behind the decimal there. I need a total of 2 digits behind the decimal in my answer. My answer would go in between the 3 and the 2. My answer would be 33 28 hundredths. And just like always, guys, there's quite a few of these problems in your math book. You can practice some. And again, just remember normal multiplication, and at the end, I decide where my decimal goes.